WHBC.
Here's your AccuWeather forecast for tonight. It'll be cloudy this evening with clearing skies late, the low down to 45. Breezy and cooler with a mix of clouds and sun for Saturday with a high of 52. Sunday, sun, some clouds, slightly milder, the high moving up to 55. And Sunday to partly cloudy Monday with a high of 61. Get your weather news when and how you want it, wherever you are. Download our free app or visit AccuWeather.com. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina for News Talk 1480 WHBC.
Live from the studios of News Talk 1480 WHBC, it's Kenny and JT.
Oh, we're having a great time already. We haven't even started the interview here on the Kenny and JT show in studio with Hall of Famer Joe DeLamielleure, who is part of this residency program that the Hall of Fame has started up, and we were catching up on old times and great stories and all that. But, Joe, thanks for coming in the studio with us. How are you?
I'm doing great. I feel good. I got here Wednesday, and Katie, the girl who works at the hall, drives me around, and she keeps us busy. We've been all over the place. I just left Ozzie Newsome and Dave Logan. We did something there. I did my favorite thing here all weekend. I worked at Chick-fil-A. I served food because I'm a big Chick-fil-A fan.
Oh, nice.
That's awesome.
They actually gave me shoes.
Nice.
So they slip. So
Anti-slip shoes.
Yeah, nice.
Anti-slip. So
those are probably better than the cleats you wore when you played football.
What cleats? I just put nails in the bottom of my feet. You were kidding?
Joe,
Shoes were for wusses.
I wrote up a bunch of questions I wanted to ask you, but since we met you, we were talking about wrestling. Tell us about the time you met Andre the Giant.
My last year, I went back to Buffalo because I was let go by Cleveland because basically, truthfully, I would never take steroids. So Marty said, you got to get bigger. How am I going to get bigger? I'm 34 years old. So they released me.
Right.
And like 4 or 5 teams claimed me, actually tried to claim me. Miami, New England, because Coach Ringo and a couple other teams claimed me. But Mr. Wilson, who owns the Bills, he called me. He said, we want you to come back and finish. Because the only reason I got traded was I didn't get along with Chuck Knox. I wanted to go to Detroit, so he thought he punished me and traded me to Cleveland. And guess what? We were great that year.
Yeah.
And we should have won a Super Bowl if we would have kicked
Cardiac
the field
Kids.
goal. Yeah, if we would have kicked the field goal, we would have won. But that's just my life. Good things happen to me all the time, and I lucked out and got in the Hall of Fame. And
that wasn't no luck.
Well, it's Randy Grashaw should have been in a long time ago. He just got in. I know a couple other guys, George Kuntz, who played like 14 years he's a tackle.
Yeah.
And Clay Matthews, of course, should be in the Hall of Fame.
No doubt. Yeah.
And I don't understand it. I don't know why it takes so long for some guys to get in and other guys not. But I'm glad I'm in.
We're glad you're in.
Yeah. And now getting back to what he said, the Andre the Giant and the Iron Sheik wrestling stories. How were you intertwined with them?
There's a place called Ilio DiPaolo's, a restaurant in Buffalo. When I went there, my rookie year, went into Ilio DiPaolo's, but I grew up in a bar, and the bar is still there in Detroit. So it was really reminded me of home. So we become real good friends. Then Ilio is retired because he's older, even older than I was, of course, because he's retired. So they said, Ilio's bringing wrestling back to Buffalo, the odd. And people were going crazy because wrestling was big time in the 80s. So I take his son, Dennis, and my 6th grade school teacher, and Don Luce's son, who's a hockey player. Don was in town, so a 13-year-old boy comes, and we're watching a game, and then it's the main event's the last event. It's when there's gas shortage, and they blamed Iran or wherever he was from.
Right.
So it was a perfect setup, and so they the final thing, the Iron Sheik, everybody's throwing popcorn and screaming at him as he walks. He's wrestling somebody. It wasn't Ilio DiPaolo. It wasn't the Giant. The Giant was a different story. But anyhow, all hell breaks loose because Ilio goes to introduce him, and the Sheik attacks him before it was all staged. We didn't know it. And I'm sitting with the son. So Dennis, hey, you wouldn't have believed it. The whole place erupted. fights all over the place.
That's so scary.
They settle it down. So we leave, and Ilio says to Dennis, what the hell is wrong with you? He said, Dad, I was trying to protect. He said, tomorrow the sheik goes to jail. Or the other guy goes to jail.
Right.
He said, he didn't want to say this is just wrestling. What the hell did you do? Cause a riot. So my 6th grade teacher goes, what an experience.
That's so funny.
I went to a wrestling match and a fight broke out.
There you go.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, there was beer, popcorn flying all over.
That's
but
awesome.
anyhow,
That's great.
We're huge wrestling fans. We're big football junkies, and everything else.
But wrestling's the best.
We both went to. Yes, it is.
Wrestling's real.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thanks. That's how you got into the Hall of Fame. Kenny and I went to college together at Baldwin Wallace. I played football. He played basketball.
And we practiced there.
And you guys practiced there. So we would be out there doing our tour days. You guys would be jogging around, and you guys would use our field because it was AstroTurf if you guys played somewhere on the road.
Right.
The question's got to be this. I was a ball boy for the Browns, and we would play the Houston Oilers, and they would come out, and they would look at that dirt painted green. You got to talk about playing at Municipal Stadium.
Oh, my God.
How terrible was it?
Great if you knew the field. You had to know the
Home field advantage.
Home field advantage. Like there's a pitcher's mound at the 10-yard line.
Yeah.
You run up run the DB back over the pitcher's mound. Hard to cover a guy. The mud. We played one game. The sewers backed up in Buffalo. Do you remember that? It was rainstorm.
No.
I was in Buffalo at the time, and you put your foot in it. My shoe got sucked off in the mud. So Paul McGuire was doing the game. He said, I think he must have lost the contact. I said, he don't wear glasses at that time. So my shoe was actually in the mud. I found it.
Oh, my God.
The mud was like this thick. There were about 4 showers in Memorial Stadium that worked in the visitors' locker room.
Those I remember.
Yeah, you had to take your turns. There's 45 or 50 guys.
Man.
3 showers, cold water. They had home field advantage.
Yeah, big time.
But anyhow, that was it's an amazing time how it came to what it is now.
Sure.
The fields were terrible in a lot of places. I always told everybody, I know why Cincinnati and Pittsburgh and the Houston teams have 300 hitters. You're playing on concrete when it was baseball.
Right.
Basically.
Right.
Think about it.
Yeah.
And then you look at the batting. I'm a big sports fan. I think. So, any wonder? Oh, of course. They're in those cities.
Yeah.
Anywhere
absolutely.
with the AstroTurf, you had a high-hitting team. Cincinnati, Pete Rose and those guys.
Okay. Well, I grew up in Pittsburgh, and the announcer at the time, Bob Prince, used to say there was a bug on the rug because of how fast,
fast it went.
on the AstroTurf, it would scoot through, and a single would be a double, and a double would be a triple.
There you go.
Because of the artificial surface and the concrete that was underneath.
It's just interesting because everything is so commercialized now.
Yeah.
The fields have to be perfect. The equipment has to be perfect.
How nice would that have been, huh, to play on fields like that?
It slowed the guys down. It was nice. Muddier it got, the worse it got. I like playing Joe Green in the mud.
Okay, all right. So let's talk. Joe DeLamielleure, Hall of Famer with us, Buffalo Bills, Cleveland Browns, 2003 class of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So Buffalo's home, Cleveland's home, Canton's home for him,
and Detroit.
And Detroit. We'll get to that because he's got some questions about the Detroit side. The rivalries from when you played. What was the rivalry in Buffalo, and then the Pittsburgh Browns rivalry when you came?
The big rivalry in Buffalo was Miami with us. And then when you came here, it was tough because Cincinnati and Pittsburgh, Cleveland, those are, you got 4 really intense games with the 2 teams. And everybody had great players. Bradshaw, Kenny Anderson, and ended up Brian Sipe, a great quarterback. So there was a lot of excitement in that time because we had a lot of offense in that division at that time. Great receivers, great runners, Franco, the Pruitts. And so it was an interesting thing. They thought they were punishing me, trading me to Cleveland, because I didn't get along with Coach Knox, who was the coach. I had Lou Saban was my first coach, and they drafted me and liked me. Anyhow, so Monty Clark was coaching Lions, and he's called up, and totally illegal. Said, I know you want out of there, but we have Billy Sims, and we need you to
block for him,
make a difference because I could run.
Well, That's funny, too, because when you go back into it and you think about those great teams in Buffalo, obviously you had a great running back there as well, but that offensive line, the Electric Company, you block for some of the greatest offensive talent that we've ever seen in the league. You go from OJ to Brian Sipe and everyone else in Cleveland. I mean, you got to talk a little bit about the Electric Company, and we were amazed that you're the only Hall of Famer from that offensive line.
Well, long story short is I played with Eric Allen, who led the nation in rushing at Michigan State. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking, this is easy.
Okay.
You know, hey, Eric Allen, he rushed for 300 and some yards in one game.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
It was a record, like 370 yards. And then I get drafted by Buffalo, and the first year, OJ, like, first game I ever played in the NFL, we played New England, and they asked me the question, what's your biggest thrill of your life? I said, the first game I started because my family, nobody went to college. Nobody did anything. My dad told me college was overrated. And I didn't even go to kindergarten because we worked in the bar. We sold salt and pepper shakers and mustard and ketchup. So I'm just thinking, I said, Ozzie was there. Ozzie Newsome was telling his story, his big catch and Logan's catches. Offensive guards on there. So I said, my biggest thrill was they announced this. They announced the offense for the Buffalo Bills. And I'm thinking to myself, holy shit, I can't believe this. My dad is one of 14. None of us ever went to even kindergarten. He said school was overrated. So what are you going to do? Color
That's
books?
work. That's the way we grew up.
Yeah, that's how you grew up.
Yeah.
Well, I grew up, and my wife always says, we're both from Detroit. She lived around the block. She always says, we walk through Canton all the time. She said, if we walk down these streets and open our eyes, you can't tell me we're from Buffalo, Cleveland, Detroit, or Canton. I go, you're right.
Yeah.
And it's a work ethic of the people that make this a good place.
Without
And we were just talking about. I came up for like 4 days, and my wife said, "Oh, you're gonna really enjoy that." I said, "Yeah, if you were coming, I wanted her to come." She said, "No, I just go up there. They got a lot of stuff you got to run around." But she said, "We are so blessed to live in those towns." She said, "Though that's America. I mean, all this crap what's going around.
The heartbeat of America.
The heartbeat of them. But the real people live in these cities. They don't care about what this guy is woke or that guy. Are you a good guy or you're a bad guy?
Blue collar.
Yeah, blue collar. Mm-hmm. So that's why I like coming back here. And it's a different place.
Joe, it's interesting for me because we're cut from basically the same fabric. Been in the restaurant business, the service industry my entire life. Now I'm happy enough to be able to be here on the radio and talk sports and meet interesting people like you, Pro Football Hall of Famers, class of 2003. Joe DeLamielleure is our guest right now on the Kenny and JT show. But the one thing that I've always kind of encapsulated myself with is the fact that I'm cut from the fabric of this town. I grew up here my entire life, but there are other people that I'm sure that we both come in contact with, and this is what I like to throw at you. You mentioned Coach Knox. His brother was here. I think he was here for a short time. But I want to ask you about Hank Bulla.
Hank
you talk
is
about
from here.
Yes. He went to Canton Timken, and there's a pipeline of Michigan State.
He coached me.
Exactly.
Yeah, and he recruited me. And then Hank actually coached in Buffalo, got fired.
Okay.
You know, the thing. But Hank and those guys, a lot of them went to Pittsburgh, like George Perlis and all these guys.
Sure.
So, interesting story about that is back then, the draft, now all these people, hey, you may get drafted. You know, there was nothing like that in 1973. So Pittsburgh called me because a lot of Buffalo, Michigan State guys, they say, look, we're taking you first round. We got the 24th pick or 25th pick in the first round, and we're going to take you unless J.T. Thomas is available because we've got to get a corner.
And he was.
So, but they had a real high pick in the second round, like the second pick in the first round, in the second round.
Yeah.
So, dang, that's pretty good. I weigh 243 pounds. Ringo said I weighed 255. Played in the Senior Bowl. I was 243. But those guys coached me, so they know I could play.
Right.
So, anyhow, so the draft comes. It's not like now how they have pre-game drafts. Everybody knows, this expert's.
Yeah.
So I had to pass this course as a 5-credit class to graduate from Michigan State on time. So I was like the first player to graduate in 4 years. But I got married, and my wife helped me a lot.
Right.
She's smarter than me. But anyhow, I had passed this class when the draft started, 9 o'clock.
Okay.
So the only thing I heard was Pittsburgh called me and said that there's a chance they may take me with the first pick unless J.T. Thomas, then they're going to take me in the second round. So I get a call. We just drafted you in the first round. Boy, I said, what the heck? Who's this? So, oh, really good. Didn't say, hey, this is so and so or whatever. It was Ralph Wilson with the Bills.
Oh,
Really?
my gosh.
So he's from Detroit, and he drafted Reggie McKenzie, me, Paul Seymour, Billy Simpson played with a lot of Detroit guys. So I get off the phone. I'm so excited. My dad's got a blue-collar bar. I hang up the phone. Dad, I just got drafted by Pittsburgh. And they go, oh, wow. Oh, that. I hang up the phone. I tell him, I can't believe I'm going to Pittsburgh with the Michigan State coaches. Phone rings. It's Larry Felser, who's a beat writer. He said, what do you think about playing with OJ? I go, damn, did I get traded? What are you talking about? They said, no, you're the 26th pick by the Buffalo Bills. I got picked that pick in between.
Yep.
So at first, when I thought about it, when I was early in my career, cost me 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah, right?
That's right.
They took J.T. Thomas.
Yeah, they took J.T. Thomas,
Yeah.
and they went to Super Bowls.
Yep.
But I played
wow.
with OJ, which it balanced out good. I would never been in a Hall of Fame without OJ. I don't think. Right place, right time, right era, and who knows? I don't know. I played hard and I tried the best I could, so things worked out.
Hey, Joe, if Mackenzie's a Detroit guy, too, part of that electric company, and you're a Detroit guy, he chooses Michigan, you go Michigan State?
Great story. I wanted to go to Michigan, too, because I was Bo's first recruit.
Okay.
Like the first guy he recruited. I was a fullback linebacker in high school.
Really?
My senior year. I grew, and I weighed like 218 and could run decent, And when I was a junior, my coach put me in the 100-yard dash. We just got a track team, and he goes, it was a meet with 2 black schools and our little Catholic school. So he puts me in the 100. I'm Converse All-Stars. So eight guys. I go, God. I didn't know the Michigan coaches were there. I come last. But I did not, I'm thinking, damn. What? They said, no. Michigan said, we want to weigh you right now because they took us back to the school and they said, we want to weigh you. And I'm going, for what? You know what? I was last
Right.
night. He said, no, you were first for the first 20 yards. So that you can run.
Speed.
Yeah, he goes, you can run. So Michigan, I was Bo's first recruit, basically. And I wanted to go there. And this is a good story. I really want to go there. Bo liked me. That I want to go. Nobody went to school in my family either. So I'm getting recruited by all these schools. I went to the University of Miami. First trip I ever took as a kid, and I went to the Super Bowl game. I got like a Gump story. I mean, I've done all kinds of stuff. My kids call me Joe Gump. But anyhow, me and Chuck Foreman get invited to the University of Miami. We're their top recruits. And it's when my Namath played in the Super Bowl.
Okay.
I went to that game as an 18-year-old kid.
Really?
So I signed my letter of intent. Back then, you can sign your letter of intent to anywhere you want, not in the same conference. I didn't know it. They said, you want to come here? I just flew from Michigan, the first time in my life I've ever been on a plane far away. And I go to Miami at the Super Bowl, all these young kids walking around, no clothes on, hardly. I go, whoa, this is unreal. And it's 1969. Everybody had long hair, and I was dressed exactly how I'm dressed right now. Butch cut, straight edge pants, shoes. I was the biggest goofball there. But I go, I'm going to Miami. So I go home. I go, Dad, I'm going to Miami. He said, what do you mean you're going to Miami? He says, let me see that. I said, that's a letter of intent. That means I can get a scholarship. He rips it up. He goes, I said, God dang, far. What are you, out of your mind? He said, you go close to home here so we can watch it. I'm the only one to ever go to college. So now I'm going to Michigan.
Right.
No question. So I tell my dad, it comes down the final day. Dad, he goes, where are you going? All these people, where are you going to go? I go, I want to go to Michigan, Dad. He goes, Michigan? I can't pronounce that guy's name. How do you say it? For real. Schembecker. He goes, what is Schembecker? I go, come on, Dad. You can pronounce it. What's the matter? DeLamielleure, you can't pronounce it. He goes, no, I don't like it. I can't pronounce it. Then he goes, where else you want to go? I go, I know I'm good because I'm Catholic. This is it, 10 kids.
Yeah.
I wear St. Sebastian medal since 5th grade. So I go, I'm going to Notre Dame. My dad, I can't swear on this thing.
We'll get fined by the FCC.
We're not internet.
Okay, you're not internet.
Yeah.
Well, my dad, what the are you talking about? He said, that guy's a Protestant. I said, who? He said, Precision. A Protestant coaching at Notre Dame? No way. You go to Michigan State because Duffy's Catholic. I go, God, you're right. Well, what was I thinking? I can't.
Really?
So that's how I went to Michigan State.
Because,
I didn't even want to go there.
Oh, my
But he was
God.
Catholic.
That's awesome.
And when they came and recruited me, Duffy came over. He was famous, Duffy Doherty. He came over and they recruited me, and it was like, so. Bo, I loved. So
Right.
I go, I don't care. So he says, Mrs. D, my wife, my mother, we got one more visit. Next week, we're coming back. He brings Father Lambert, Duffy Doherty. The priest is dancing with my mother.
Oh.
So
Hook, line, and sinker there, right?
Then when we left, he goes, Coach Doherty goes, Mrs. D, I'm going to tell you, she only went to 8th grade, and she's a Rosary Altar Society. She's a saint. She's like, a saintly woman. And she goes, oh, yes. He said, he comes a Catholic, he will leave Catholic. Oh. So he leaves. My mother said, okay, that's where you're going.
Yeah,
I'll
makes
give you
sense.
one funny Michigan State story.
That's awesome.
So when I was getting recruited,
Yeah.
they didn't want to go with me anywhere. Like all the other parents, I'm going with Bobby so I can see the school. My parents, my dad's working a bar, my mother's 9. There's kids all over the place. And she goes, you drive all, you can drive. Get up to East Lansing. So I drive myself. She said, how long are you going to be there? I said, 3 days. She goes, okay. So she comes down. She's got a shirt, like this type of shirt with a pocket. Yeah. And that's my luggage for the 3 days. She goes, now be careful. She thought it was fine. Then she goes, Joseph, wait. She comes out, she puts a toothbrush in the pocket. So I show up at Kellogg Center with all these recruits and their parents. So the guy who recruited me, Dave Smith, Perlis and all these guys are assistants there. The guy, Dave Smith, says, hey, where's your luggage? I said, right here. What are you talking about? He said, well, you're here for 3 days, son. I said, so?
No big deal.
No underwear, no socks. Just
that's great.
Same underwear. So anyhow, that was my. He said, "Where are you parked?" I said, "Just out there. Go get your luggage." I said, "I got it. What are you talking about?"
Man.
Then they told me we didn't go to school. Nobody went to school. They were trying to persuade you. You know why you went? They go, "You come." Nobody graduated in my family. Nobody. And my brothers did, but it was no big deal. So they say, oh, you're going to get a nice degree, phys ed, something like that, and you'll be able to take some labs here. Well, our school was a little Catholic school. They didn't have labs or anything. Right. So I actually thought it was a dog. I go, oh you're kidding me. I was like Jethro Bodine. I said, you mean we get a dog? They go, what are you talking about? They said, no, it's a lab, a laboratory. I go, oh, we didn't have that at our school.
Oh, that's great.
So there's so many stories. Like,
see, these are the great things we like to talk about, because I mean, we can sit there and bore people to death with, football this, football that, and everything else.
Well, what a great run, this or that. It's hysterical.
That's a beautiful thing with the residency program, and we love having you in town. And so you've been in town. You're never going to get these stories. Yeah, I mean, that's I think what they really wanted to see. Yes. Guys like Joe DeLamielleure walking around town. You see him at a gas station. You see him at a restaurant.
Chick-fil-A.
All of a sudden, he's flipping burgers somewhere. Yeah. What kind of a restaurant was it, your bar?
It's still there. 91 years. My nephews and nieces own it.
Come on.
Right across from the factories.
Well, so it's Ford Field. Where?
No, it's Warren, Michigan. Okay. It's called Centerline. Centerline is 1 mile by 1 mile. Okay. That's where they started the center lines that you cross. Okay. So it's that old. It's an old city. Okay. And so we had a high school of 500 students, and there were probably 50 boys maybe, and the rest were girls, because they asked the nun, how come you have so many boys here and, all these girls? Mm-hmm. Sister said, it's fairly simple. Here's how we grade here at St. Clement. A for athlete, B for boy, and C for co-ed. So if the boys come, you're going to get an A.
Yeah, very good.
Awesome. It was awesome. It was a great play. We had a gym, sat like 2,000 people. We only had 500 in the thing, because they knew that people wanted to come and watch people play basketball. Way ahead of their time.
Wow, that's great.
It was great, and it was great. I drove the nun's car around. Like, Joseph, you're a pretty big guy. Can you drive? I'm pretty good. I'm all right. Take our car and go down to the knitting mills in Detroit and get our sweaters. I'm in high school driving down I-75.
Oh, man, that's awesome.
That's
I
great.
just had the greatest life in the world.
Oh, it sounds like Joe DeLamielleure, Hall of Famer, in studio with us as part of the Hall of Fame's new residency program. And we've had a great time so far with this program and getting stories like this that you're not going to get anywhere else. How busy have you been since you've
Real
been in
busy.
town?
That girl who drove me, Katie.
Katie, yeah.
She's awesome. She takes us to where we got to go. We got one more day tomorrow, and then it's just stuff like we're going to see the Golden Girls. They have a Golden Girls thing here, like a bar or something. She thought I wouldn't want to go see that. Golden Girls are my favorite thing, other than Archie Bunker. Remember the
It's the
Golden
greatest,
Girls?
of course.
All in the family, of course, yeah.
My dad looked like Archie, and I tell my wife, God, we watch it every night from 9 till 10, and
Sure.
then we go to bed. And
Okay.
then I go, God, he looks like he looks like my dad. My wife goes, he looks like you and acts like you. You act like. So we have a lot of laughs. But
That's great.
it's fun, and playing football was. They go, boy, that was a hard job. I go, no, you play football. You don't work football.
There you go.
I said, come on. I'd be driving to work and, work. I was driving to practice. I'd see the people driving to work, real people,
Right.
real jobs. 70s were a terrible time. Gas prices were outrageous.
Yeah.
Inflation. It's everything that Archie was talking about.
Oh,
Archie
yeah.
Bunker.
No,
Right.
no question.
Well,
Yeah.
think about it. I mean, when you
Vietnam,
consider
just got out of Vietnam.
right,
Oh.
Buffalo, Cleveland,
And
Detroit,
Detroit.
it's all the same. Rust
Yeah.
bucket.
Yeah.
And my wife always says that we come down here, walk early in the morning. She goes, you close your eyes, you won't know what
Yeah.
city you're in.
Yeah.
You
No-
could be
no
Detroit,
question.
Buffalo, or Cleveland.
I do want to get one football
Yeah.
question in about that 1980 season. You get traded
Yeah.
to Cleveland, and like you said, it was a magical season. The Cardiac Kids, and you blocked for the NFL MVP Brian Sipe, and if you kick the field goal instead of Red Right 88, you maybe
may
win
have
the
gone to
Super Bowl,
Super Bowl.
right?
Yep.
So what was that year like for you? Give our listeners
Okay.
an idea from inside the huddle, the locker room, and being a part of the
Well,
Cardiac
just
Kids.
part of me, I held out. So I waited. I had like 1 hour to report, or I'd have to did not report because I held out of camp. Because coaches were calling me, Monty Clark and some other people
Right.
who was with Detroit. I wanted to go to Detroit, but I told Chuck Knox that's the only team I didn't want to go to because I knew that's the team he tried to get me to go to.
Oh.
But then Monty Clark, they had Billy Sims, and Monty Clark said, "You're going to block for Billy Sims like you blocked for OJ, and stay out of camp." Yeah, can you imagine this happening?
Really?
Wow,
Stay out
man.
of camp, and we're going to make the deal. So I'm getting real antsy because I don't report. They put you on did not report list. So
Yep.
I go, damn, what am I going to do? So it came down to the last minute. My wife's going, what are you going to do? I said, I got to go in. I'm being camp. I'm be a Bill. Oh, it's going to odd position to put me in.
Yeah.
So I get in there, and they say, hey, thought you were going to hold out. I said, I was, but then I thought, why would I let a guy who never played football take away my career? So I'm back. I'll play.
Okay.
So I was gone before I hit the. They traded me to Cleveland. Thought they punished me.
Right.
Because Cleveland was not very good at the time, but they were building.
Yeah.
And then when I came to Cleveland, I saw Brian Sipe. We had Joe Ferguson. Totally different team. We were a team that ran the ball, really pounded the ball, and we didn't have to throw it. And when I went to Cleveland, they were passing the ball. We had five guys catch over 50 balls.
Wow.
That was, and then the Pruitt's catching the ball out of the backfield. OJ ran the ball 300 times. I mean, there was a huge difference.
Got it.
Sure.
So it was
Yeah.
a different game totally. And I was a good pass blocker. And Coach Ringo coached me. So when I came here, I kind of fit in, like it was a perfect fit for me. They were looking for a guard. I know Bob Jackson was playing, but he got hurt, like, early.
Huh.
All the pieces fell in place. I stepped right in, played. Brian had a great year. They had gotten Elzado.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
The year before. So they had a good team. And, I mean, when I was with Ozzie Newsome and Dave Logan, I said, man, we had good players. We had Ahmad Rashad and J.D. Hill, but we didn't have five great receivers. We had five great receivers because the Pruitts could catch.
Right.
Then you had Ozzie, and we actually had about six good receivers. So it was a totally different game, and Brian spread the field. And he could see – Brian was amazing because when you play with somebody, you just take it for granted. Well, when I came in, I was going, man, this guy throws the ball over the field and he's looking straight ahead. We had hardly any sacks because nobody knew where he was going with the ball. He never telegraphed.
Wow.
So, he'd be looking here and the ball would go there. But he sees over here that what we see within our range. And I'm real astute to this stuff because I love football and I coached it. And I was just amazed at how good the Pruitts were. Their combination, power and
Thunder and lightning, man.
they were unbelievable. And Mike Pruitt, he was a bull. He was like Earl Campbell, but maybe a little faster, and not the opportunity to get that Earl got. If you plugged him in and gave him the ball 25 times, he would have been. But they spread the ball around, and it was a great team, and we just ran into a bad. We were playing Oakland for the playoff, and that week, everybody, man, we got him at home in Cleveland. I thought to myself, I'm a football guy. I thought, I'd rather play him out there in nice weather because we got a better team.
Right.
We could spread it out and, make them cover more. And they really were not that good offensively. They had Cliff Branch, but that was about it. They weren't really Van Egan. They weren't an explosive team, as the score indicated.
Right. What was it, 14-12?
Yeah, the weather held us down. If we played on a dry field, we played on an ice rink. So anyhow, I thought we were going to win anyhow. Yeah. So the rest of my life, my wife said, what are you thinking about? I said, Red Right 88.
Oh,
God,
man.
dang it. She was 30 years ago, for God's sake.
So when that call comes in to the huddle, okay, and Brian's in the huddle, and Red Right 88.
Well, we wanted to kick it but then Cockcroft
had missed some kicks, right?
But he missed kicks because Paul McDonald didn't get the ball down properly because he had rubber gloves on. So we were screaming, take the gloves off, damn it. So he took his gloves off, and then Cockcroft made the kick before that.
Right.
So he came out, and Sam didn't want to do it because, we missed those kicks. But if, didn't have the glove, if it doesn't fit, you must have quit, basically, with the gloves.
Yeah, right.
But anyhow, that's what happened. I think 100 times over, they would have thrown or tried to field goal. Right. But we talked about it in the other meeting. The ball was supposed to go to Logan, and he was wide open, but they disguised their coverage, and he tried to squeeze it in there.
Well, and you're in a shorter, right?
And Mike Davis had hands of stone. If you look at his record, I think he only had 3 interceptions, but he got that one.
One that matters, right?
Yeah. So God's got different plans for all of us.
Yeah, well, it worked out well for you. Great career, 13 years in the NFL, Pro Football Hall of Famer, 2003 class, and back in Canton with us here on the Kenny and JT Show. Joe DeLamielleure, we can't thank you enough for being a part of the show today and telling these unbelievable stories, and we look forward to catching up with you again.
My wife said, tell football stories. Don't tell this.
No, we don't want the football.
No.
We want the football stories, but we also want to do this. The next time you come into town, don't wait from Wednesday to Friday to come see us.
Yeah, you got an open invite. You come in here, you can be a co-host.
I've never missed Hall of Fame. Me and Bethea are in the same class, and we were right down there. It took us a long time to get in, and we made a promise to each other. As long as we're alive, we go back to Canton.
We'll come get you.
Yeah.
Whatever. I'll do whatever.
Right,
That's
perfect.
awesome. Joe, thanks so much for coming in. I know you got more things to do and everything.
No, but I feel sorry for Katie. She drives me around.
Oh, she's okay. She's got her phone back there with the kids these days. They're good with that. Joe DeLamielleure spending some time with us here on the Kenny and JT Show. We'll get a break in and come back with more after this.
Be careful.
The Roadman and JT on 1480 WH.